Coming up next in an FTC Now exclusive, we honor the new Lieutenant Governor of South Carolina, John Yancey McGill, with a whole host of incredible special guests, including South Carolina's own Governor, Nikki Haley. You don't want to go anywhere. It's only happening right here on FTC Now.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for being here tonight. We welcome you to a very special evening. It's been so much fun seeing friends and family members of the Lieutenant Governor and so many people from our community come out tonight for this very special event. Welcome to each of you. On behalf of our Executive Director, Leslie Spivey, who is at the back of the room, and all of our Board of Directors, I offer our heartfelt thanks for your support of our chamber and of your community. And I want to thank all of our speakers tonight who have come and are going to offer some of their words and stories and reminiscences to you as well. I'd like for you to take a moment, if you would, and look at the reverse of your programs tonight, because I'd like to thank our partners. Without our partners, we wouldn't be here tonight. Our contributor, Robert Welch, the Pine Level, Mandy Schuler, the Town of Stuckey, David and Eva Ruth, Edwards Mims Insurance, Darlene and Alan Chandler, First Steps of Williamsburg, McCutcheon Training Center, the Palmetto, the Citizens Bank, Bank of Greeleyville, Town of Kingstree, Palmetto Synthetics, Williamsburg Regional Hospital, the Williamsburg Historical Museum, the Oak Level, FTC, Russell Marlowe, Williamsburg Tourism, Santee Electric Cooperative, Williamsburg Funeral Home, Jenkinson, Jarrett and Callahan, and Williamsburg County Government. Let's give all of these partners a big hand. We have lots of special guests that are here tonight, and I'm going to ask when I call your name, if you would please stand, and if I've left anyone out at the end, please let me know. Please hold your applause until I've gone through all of our special guests, and then we can give them a rousing round of applause for being here this evening. Please stand when I call your name. Mr. and Mrs. Andy McKnight, County Council, Mr. Johnny Bartell, Sheriff, Ms. Kimberly Cooper, Treasurer, the Honorable Ronnie Sabb, the Honorable Hugh Leatherman, the Honorable Thomas McElveen, the Honorable Stanley Paisley, Mr. and Mrs. Laverne Burroughs, Jeannie Brown Burroughs, County Council, Mr. and Mrs. W.B. Wilson, County Council, Mr. and Mrs. Sam Floyd, County Council, Mr. and Mrs. Franklin Fulmore, Mrs. Sharon Staggers, Clerk of Court, Mr. Kenneth Barnes from Senator Clyburn's office, the Senator and Mrs. John Land, Mr. Jesse Parker, Mayor of Greeleyville, Mr. Willie Brown, Mr. Ricky Burrows, Mayor of Kingstree, Mr. Steve Duke, Mayor of Johnsonville, Mr. Lester Branham, Representative, the Honorable and Mrs. Ken Kennedy, the Honorable Nikki Haley, Mr. Loveth Anderson, Mayor of Lake City, Ms. Tammy Epps McClary, the Supervisor's Office, Naomi Dorsey from the Supervisor's Office, Marie Waller from the Lieutenant Governor's Office, and a Margaret Spalding from Senator Tim Scott's office. Thank you all for being here tonight. Tonight's opening prayer will be given by Reverend Franklin F. Fulmore Sr. of St. Paul AME Church in Cade, South Carolina. Reverend Fulmore also serves as a Williamsburg County Councilman. Reverend Fulmore.
If you will, let us bow in prayer. O gracious God, our Father, Lord, as we, your children, come this evening, we come with our head bowed in the laps of our shoulder, saying to you, O God, thank you. Thank you for life, health, and strength. Thank you for sparing our lives to witness and to see another day, a day in which we have never seen before. And Lord, we count it a blessing just to be here today. And we thank you, our Father, for all of those that are here, those perhaps that is on the way, and those that wanted to come but for some reason just could not make it. Certainly we pray, our Father, that you continue to look down upon each and every one of us. Continue to strengthen us where we are weak, and build us up in those places in which we are torn down. And Lord, if you do these things for us, certainly we'll be careful how we give your name the praises, the glory, and the honor. These and all of the blessing we ask in your name we pray. Amen. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Fulmore. I'd like to now introduce Mr. Floyd Keels, Chief Executive Officer for Santee Electric Cooperative, who will now give us our welcome. Mr. Keels.
Good evening. Let me simply begin with a warm word of thanks to everyone visiting, and just wish you well for being here. And really, we want to say thanks to our friend and special guest, the Honorable Yancey McGill. This is an exceptional evening. It's an exceptional evening, and I am so glad that there are so many people from far and near, from all over, who decided to join us on this evening. And we're just pleased to have you as we pay tribute to this fine gentleman. Now, this evening is all about a well-deserved mantle of validation. That's what it is. It's all about a mantle of validation. The Lieutenant Governor has been a servant leader in the state of South Carolina for a long time. He's been a leader in the state of South Carolina. He's been a long time. And you will be challenged on this evening. There's no question about that. You will be challenged, you will be entertained, and you will be inspired, because there will be something that somebody's going to say that's going to challenge you in some way or the other, and there's going to be, in some form or another, you're going to be inspired by the words that you're going to hear. Now, on behalf of our hometown chamber and Santee Electric Cooperative and the special honored guests, we wish you an enjoyable evening. Thank you.
It is indeed my pleasure to introduce our honored guest, Governor Nikki Haley. Governor Haley was born in Bamberg, South Carolina, and entered politics at a young age, serving in the South Carolina House of Representatives for several years before becoming governor of our state. In addition to being the first female governor in South Carolina, she is the first Indian American and the second Indian American governor in the country. We are so pleased that Governor Nikki Haley has joined us tonight. She has been visiting with us several times recently, and we're always thrilled when she comes to see us. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Governor Nikki Haley.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It really is a great day in South Carolina, and I'm absolutely honored and humbled to be here to talk about a man that I respect so much. I did not want to miss this day because I want to tell you my story. I want to tell you what I know about Governor McGill. This is a man that when I came into office, and there were divisions and there were divides, he showed me nothing but respect. This is a man who all he wanted to do was to make sure he took care of his county. He has a great love for this county. There wasn't anything that was ever discussed in the State House that he didn't want to know how Williamsburg County was going to be affected. There was not a day he didn't work for you and truly work for you. This is a man that has a servant's heart. I've seen it. But this is something we don't see often. This is a statesman. This is a statesman that understands people are going to agree to disagree. People are going to all try and work to get things done, but he always tried to push people into working together. And I wanted to come to you and tell you that in a time where he always watched out for his county and he always watched out for his Senate district, we came into a constitutional crisis. We didn't have a single person willing to step up to be lieutenant governor. We didn't have a single person willing to be that second person in line. Why? Because the person couldn't run for re-election. So whoever was going to do this was going to sacrifice everything they had worked for to serve the state. And Senator McGill stepped up and said, I'll do it. This is a man that's going to go down in the history books. Not for the fact that he was mayor, not for the fact that he served years in the Senate honorably. This is a man that will go down in the history books for really sacrificing for his state, not thinking of himself, but thinking of his county, his community, his state, for the good of the cause. It's not something we see often. So when he did this, they asked me, well, what do you think? That a Democrat, God forbid, a Democrat is going to be lieutenant governor. And my answer was very quick and very simple. I said I would be honored to serve with him because I know he will always have South Carolina's interests at heart. I know at the end of the day he's a friend. There's never been a time where I needed something that he didn't try and be there. But he didn't try and do it to help me. He tried to do it because he knew it was right for the state. And sometimes he took a lot of heat for that. But that's who Governor McGill is. If it takes him to a better place, if it builds South Carolina to a better place, he's going to go there. So this is a man who I have a great respect for because he has a strong faith. He loves his family. He loves his community. But at the end of the day, no one will doubt that he loved his state. And so I want to thank you for honoring my friend, for honoring a lieutenant governor I am very proud to stand next to and show the entire state that's what a statesman looks like. Because I, for one, am going to sing Yancey McGill's praises till the end of time. But what I can tell you is, Governor McGill, you didn't just make your county proud this time. You made your entire state proud. And we will forever be grateful for your service. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Thank you so much, Governor Haley. Our next speaker is Mr. Billy Jenkinson, who represents the Williamsburg Historical Society. Mr. Jenkinson is a partner here in Kingstree at Jenkinson, Jarrett, and Callahan. Mr. Billy Jenkinson.
Good evening and welcome to all of you. Thank you, Governor Haley, for some wonderful remarks about our favorite son. Thank all of you for being here to honor Yancey. I want to call him Lieutenant Governor, but he's also Yancey to us. It's my privilege tonight to make a few remarks on behalf of the Williamsburg Historical Society about all the wonderful things that Yancey has done. He's a true historian, among many other things. And our governor loves, as she said a few minutes ago, to have her state employees answer the phone. It's a great day to be in South Carolina. Well, Governor, I'll tell you, in a way, it's a sad day in Williamsburg County because we've lost our senator. But it's also a great day for our state, and that we have been rewarded with, I promise you, the hardest working lieutenant governor that South Carolina has ever had and ever will have. I say that because I don't think anyone that follows him can possibly match his time and his effort. And we're just proud to call him ours because he does belong to Williamsburg County. You know, it's a long way from snow cones and boiled peanuts to being lieutenant governor. Governor, you don't know that story. But Yancey has made that trip in his life. When I first knew him, I was bagging groceries at Tomlinson's grocery store on Hampton Avenue. Yancey was probably 10 or 12 years old. He didn't work in the grocery store. He worked in the snow cone stand across the street. And when he wasn't selling snow cones, he was selling boiled peanuts in the tobacco warehouses, or going door to door, as was the rest of the McGill clan. That same work ethic has followed him throughout of his life. Recently, he was in the upper part of the state to show you how hard he works. A man up there was digging a well. And I thank you for this story, Mayor Lovett Anderson. And he got up to admire that well and fell in, and he was trapped. And along came his minister, hearing his plea for help, and the minister looked down and said, "How can I help you?" He said, "Save me, preacher, save me." So he had a little prayer over him and left. Not too much longer, a doctor was walking by and heard the pleas for help, and he walked over and he said, "How can I help you?" He said, "I just got to save me." He threw a prescription down the hole. Lo and behold, Yancey was doing his thing in the upper part of the state, rode by and heard him making that plea for help. Yancey walked over and looked down and saw him. He said, "Why can I help you?" He said, help me get out of this hole." So Yancey jumped in. The man looked at him and said, "You're the lieutenant governor." He said, "Yeah." He said, "What are you doing in this hole with me? Why did you jump down here? Why didn't you save me?" He said, "I am going to save you. You ever seen a good politician couldn't dig himself out of a hole?" Yancey never says die, and he never quits. And fortunately, one of his pet projects, and still is the Williamsburg Historical Society. We have a wonderful museum facility because we were able to restore our old Carnegie Library 14 years ago. And without Yancey's working with the town and the citizens and the many people, we wouldn't have that facility. We wouldn't have a museum today. He has been a long time board member. Many of you don't know it, but he would show up on those Monday night meetings as busy as he would be and help us out, obtaining funds, working the system to get a new roof when we needed it and to make repairs to keep us in business. He donated Francis Marion prints of a painting his mother painted to raise money for us. He established a tourism committee for Williamsburg County to help us fund various projects like the King Street Trials and the reenactments and all of the festivals that we've been able to put on. He set up a book account so we could publish books, and we've published 2 local books pertaining to Williamsburg County, one by Ms. Eleanor Foxworth called South Carolina's Williamsburg and the Traditions of the Swamp Fox. He has supported our efforts to purchase granite benches on our courthouse square to honor the many judges that we've had from Williamsburg County. And he encouraged and helped us with the purchase of the museum annex that's next door. The commemorative granite benches, I'd be remiss in not just mentioning those, because Yancey is known in the legislature as the judge maker. Judges get elected because they go to Yancey. And Yancey has not only gotten judges elected across this state from the Supreme Court right on down, but particularly we are proud to have in his tenure as our senator 2 judges on the Court of Appeals, Carol Connor and Dwayne Schuler. Both of them also served as circuit judges. Our own Clifton Newman, who currently serves as a circuit judge, my brother Bubba, some call him my older brother, as a family court judge, and also Judge Louis Lassane. So he's brought all of that to our community and provided great judges across this state. And so thank you from the Bar Association as well, Senator. Indeed, it's just fitting and proper for us tonight to honor with deep appreciation our Lieutenant Governor, Yancey McGill. Thank you, brother.
Thank you so much. Please welcome our next speaker, Extension Agent and Assistant 4-H Youth Development Director for Williamsburg County Clemson Extension, Ms. Jolie Brown.
Good evening, everyone. I'm honored to be here with you tonight to recognize Lieutenant Governor Yancey McGill and thank him for his many contributions during his time as our senator. All of my experiences with Lieutenant Governor Yancey McGill have been very positive. He is a kind and thoughtful man. He attended the first Race to Washington 5K here in Kingstree back in May. He agreed to come as our MC. He was very enthusiastic and kind enough to pledge a very generous donation to our Junior Leadership of Williamsburg program. He also brought prints of one of his late mother's beautiful paintings of our State House for each race participant and volunteer. A few days prior to the 5K, the then senator met with a Williamsburg County 4-H'er and me at the State House for the annual 4-H Legislative Day. Senator McGill showed us to the lobby and he introduced us to several of his senator colleagues. It was a thrill for me and the 4-H'er, I can tell you. Senator McGill made us feel very welcome. The same 4-H'er that attended annual 4-H Legislative Day was also a part of the South Carolina Farm Bureau's Youth Leadership Conference, and she had the honor to watch Senator McGill being sworn in as Lieutenant Governor. So she was very excited about that. Thank you, Lieutenant Governor, for representing our county so well and for your support of our youth and 4-H. I thought a pair of tennis shoes would be a great gift for you. We hope you wear these in good health and start training for the next 5K in May. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jolie. I now have the pleasure of introducing John C. Land III, a former member of the South Carolina Senate, representing the 36th District since 1976. Previously, he was a member of the South Carolina House of Representatives from 1975 through 1976. He is now retired from the Senate and practices law in Manning, South Carolina, at Land, Parker, and Welch. Please join me in welcoming Senator John Land.
Good evening, everyone. Governor Haley, you said it all. You said it all about our friend, J. Yancey McGill. I served with him for many, many years, Senator McElveen, and you know, the Senate can be a contentious place at times, in case y'all didn't know that. And tempers can fly. I've never seen Yancey McGill get mad. Now, I did see his face get red a time or two. You know, and I knew he was mad, but he held back. He never said anything, but his face did turn red. But I'll tell you what, he was a pleasure to serve with. And Governor Haley, you said it. I don't think there's any senator that ever served, and I don't want to offend Senator Leatherman or myself, that worked any harder for his county. I mean, he fought Williamsburg every breath he took when he was in the South Carolina Senate. And every vote he took, he wanted to be sure that Williamsburg would come out on top. He didn't want to be second, did he? He wanted to be top. He wanted to get more than anybody else because he loves this county and his Senate district, of course. But his primary concern was Williamsburg County. And he did it in such a gentlemanly way. He's a true Southern gentleman that knows how to be a legislator and a senator. And also he knows now how to be the lieutenant governor of the state of South Carolina. And Yancey, I can't call you lieutenant governor because I've been calling you Yancey for so many, many years. I'm just so proud of you, I really am. You have truly distinguished yourself by your service in the South Carolina Senate. You put your people first, and you worked harder than anyone that I have ever known in the Senate, and you deserve the position you have in South Carolina at this time. And I tell all of you that South Carolina is a better place because Yancey McGill served in the South Carolina Senate. And now I believe, as Governor Haley has said, South Carolina will be a better place because of your service as Lieutenant Governor for the state of South Carolina. And I'm just proud to call you a friend, and I'm especially flattered that you call this old retired man out of the pasture to come over here and participate in this event. We love you, and we wish you and your family well in the future. God bless you.
Thank you, Senator Land. Our next speaker, Senator Hugh K. Leatherman Sr., is a member of the South Carolina Senate representing the 31st District since 1981. As chairman of the Senate Finance Committee, Senator Leatherman also sits on the Budget and Control Board. He was elected as President pro tempore of the South Carolina Senate on June 18, 2014. Please join me in welcoming Senator Hugh Leatherman.
What a great honor to be here and see the terrific turnout of your fellow citizens, Yancey. And I too will have difficulty calling you Lieutenant Governor. We called Senator Yancey so long, Senator Land, that's what we called him. But you know, my ties to the McGill family goes back 34 years, Pam. First ran, and at that time we ran in 4 counties. You had 4 counties, 4 senators, and it was Williamsburg, O'Ree, Marion, Florence County. Well, of course, first thing I did south of Florence was come see Senator Frank McGill. Well, I sent Frank McGill with you, buddy. You didn't count anything. So came down here and talked to the senator, and he said, well, let me get my son in here. So he asked Yancey to come in. Yancey came in, I think either it was mayor at that time or just finished being mayor, one of the two. And his dad said, son, we got a new man running for the Senate who knows absolutely nothing. I've talked to him. And he was correct. I didn't know nothing. He said, but son, I want you to take him and walk Main Street, go in every store there is, introduce him, tell them that he's going to be the next senator. And I thought, wow, what kind of endorsement is that? So we did that, and I tell you this, and I've told Yancey this so many times, he and his dad, the McGill family, are responsible for me being in South Carolina Senate. Yancey, thank you for what you did that day for me, or those days. But you know, so many things we could talk about this evening that Yancey's done, and I won't even try to enumerate those, but without Yancey McGill being in the Senate, doing what Senator Land just said, making sure that Williamsburg County came out on top, without that, I tell you, your hospital probably would have closed. I don't know if you know that or not. Your tech center most probably would not have survived without him. And I look at the Lake City Hospital, definitely would not have survived without him. Yancey came to his colleagues, my colleagues, Senator Land, his colleagues, and did such a compelling argument that we appropriated money for the Lake City, Kingstree, the Tech Center, and those things. We could go on and on and on with the things he did. He did so much for this area, so much for this state. When I think about his involvement in the state just recently, he was determined that the port of Georgetown was going to be dredged out so they could start shipping things in and out of it. It took him 3 years, mind you, talking to me, talking to the president of the port down in Charleston, talking to anyone who would listen to him, and even talk to those in Atlanta who wouldn't listen to him, and did such a compelling argument on that. Yes, indeed, it will be dredged. You know, thinking back to Senator Frank McGill, back at that time, Senator Land, we'd have all-night filibusters pretty regular. We was in an all-night filibustering long about 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. Senator Frank McGill said, let's go out on the front porch overlooking Main Street. We did. We went out there, and he said, you know, look at this beautiful building, this beautiful Capitol that we have, and it is a beautiful Capitol. He said, you know, I can just hear the past arguments on the floor of the Senate about you breaking the state. You're breaking the state, trying to build this kind of structure to be our capital. That's the kind of man that Senator Frank McGill was. That's the kind of man that Senator Yancey McGill is. Will he do a good job, Governor, as Lieutenant Governor? Absolutely. You're very fortunate to have him as a partner. So I am just honored to be with you and see Yancey, see the tremendous turnout of your fellow citizens here this evening, to honor you for a great job ahead of you. Thank you for allowing me to come to be with you, and Yancey, may God bless you and continue to bless the state of South Carolina. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Senator Leatherman. The St. Anne Catholic Outreach Center is a Felician mission located right here in Kingstree. Our sisters, and I call them our sisters, of the Felician Center serve some of the most vulnerable populations in our area. They have opened the hearts and their hands to the people of the community, helping to break the cycle of poverty and of pessimism by giving opportunity, knowledge, inspiration, and a helping hand to those in need. Tonight, we have Sister Suzanne, who is going to come and speak with us, but I also want to recognize Sister Jackie and Sister Jonna. I don't know where you are, but if you would stand. Thank y'all so much for being here tonight. Sister Jonna. Sister Suzanne, sorry.
Thank you for permitting a Yankee to speak tonight. Each of us know and have heard the accomplishments of the former Senator Yancey McGill for the good of the citizens of South Carolina. There have been state achievements and county achievements that could fill volumes, and we've heard some of it tonight. Many public offices, businesses, and civic organizations have reaped successes because of the Lieutenant Governor's leadership. But there are other very important citizens of South Carolina that have been blessed by this compassionate leader. Tonight, on behalf of the senior citizens of vital aging and foster grandparents, On behalf of families in need of the Felician Center Outreach Food Pantry and Clothing Closet, on behalf of children in a small daycare center and after-school programs, we would like to applaud the compassionate and generous Lieutenant Governor for paying attention to some of the least among us. It was around 1994 when the Felician sisters first met the former senator. Without an appointment, I stopped by his King Street office to introduce myself. The senator immediately asked me, "What do you need?" I wasn't prepared then. I answered that we did need a utility building to become a clothing closet on Thorne Avenue, and on the spot, the former senator pulled out his checkbook and wrote a personal check. And he said to me, "Take this check to all the other local businesses, show them what I gave, and they'll give it to you too." And that was the endorsement that we needed. There have been times and years since that first introduction that Lieutenant Governor Yancey McGill has continued that love for people and love for service to help stock that food pantry, to get computers for a daycare center, to purchase the walk-in freezer for the Meals on Wheels program, to equip the wellness centers in Hemingway and Greeleyville and King Street. He has never been so busy that even the least among us couldn't find him approachable when a public defender was needed for a grandmother to locate her jailed grandson, or to get a heating unit for someone who walked 5 miles to town in need of that help. A genuine smile and a handshake, kind words, and even a hug in the store or a restaurant would be given, and not only during election season. Lieutenant Governor Yancey McGill. I was doing good. The Felician sisters have personally shared in your friendship for nearly 20 years, and you will be sorely missed. Your support of the Felician Center and attendance at many of our functions and events has moved you very close to the top of our prayer list. And then, because of an honor that we received in 2012, the King Street sisters were invited to be Grand Marshals of the King Street Pig Pickin' Parade. As the cars were lining up and the Felician sisters were being seated in convertibles, the former senator came over to greet us, and he said, "You know, sisters, before you came to town, I used to be the front car in the parade." You see, that day he was placed 3rd or 4th. Well, dear Lieutenant Governor, I do believe that when you return to the parade as Lieutenant Governor, you will once again receive your proper place of honor as the first car. Congratulations, and may God bless you abundantly for what you have given and what is still yours to give and do.
Thank you so much to each of this evening's speakers for sharing your thoughts and your stories and your memories about our honoree, John Yancey McGill. Before our Lieutenant Governor comes forward, I'd like to take a moment to recognize one more guest who has been an integral part of the life of the Lieutenant Governor. British journalist Godfrey Wynne said, "No man succeeds without a good woman behind him. Wife or mother, if it is both, he is twice blessed indeed." This evening, we thank the woman behind the Lieutenant Governor for her support, which has allowed our community, our state, to claim many days and hours and years of family and personal time from her husband. Please join me in a round of applause as we present a gift from Brenda Woods, one of our board members, for Miss Pam McGill. Tonight's honoree, our Lieutenant Governor, has a long list of accomplishments to his credit, and tonight I want to share just a few of his contributions, achievements, and honors. Lieutenant Governor McGill has served as the chairman of the Deacon Board at Kingstree First Baptist Church. He has been president of Kingstree JCs, president of the Kingstree Chamber of Commerce, a member of the Board of Visitors at MUSC, and has served on numerous committees with the Waccamaw Regional Government. In 1993, 1997, and in 2002, he was recognized as Legislator of the Year. In 2009, he received the Lifetime Achievement Award from our own Williamsburg Hometown Chamber. He began his political career with Kingstree Town Council from 1976 to 1979. He was Mayor Pro Tempore from 1978 to 79, Mayor of Kingstree from 1984 to 1988. In 1989, he was elected to the South Carolina Senate for District 32, serving until June 18, 2014, when he was elected President Pro Tempore and assuming the office of Lieutenant Governor. And here we are, tonight, the celebration of someone who is a son of Williamsburg County, an advocate for Williamsburg County, and a man who is about his faith, his family, his friends, his community, and his state. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming our Lieutenant Governor, John Yancey McGill.
Let me first start off by saying how much I appreciate the love and compassion that is in this room. To think for one moment that here this year, at this very moment, that we would have a governor of South Carolina to come into Kingstree to visit with us, a governor who has helped Kingstree and Williamsburg all over the state, Mr. Barnes. And I can tell you, so often those, regardless of party, Democrat, Independent, Republican, everybody contributes. And I can tell you right now that this governor, when she was in the House, was a good friend of mine. I can tell you we worked together and elected a lot of the judicial judges of this state together. I could give her a list of 20 names, Andy Kelly, and she'd go and she'd come back 40 minutes later and she would tell me, we got 15, 2 said no, and 3 said let's talk with the potential candidate. I'm gonna tell you, you don't forget those kind of things, because she was a workaholic herself in that house. You don't take that from people. Senator McElveen, regardless what anybody ever shares with you, God comes first. But working with your family and your friends and making a difference. Tonight, Kingstree, Williamsburg, is honored tonight to have Nikki Haley in Kingstree, Miss Hagler, to have Nikki Haley here with us, regardless of purpose. With that, let's give her another round of applause, please. I would like to first thank the hometown chamber I tell you, most all of us in this room have either been members or we have participated on that board or served as vice president or president. One of the hardest jobs I think I ever had, because revitalization always was a key of trying to work the different municipalities and all the sections all over the county. But all these sponsors tonight that have come together, it is a tribute to what this county has historically, Sally, has always been about. This community has always been South Carolina at its best because of volunteerism, not asking what is it for me or I, me, Stanley. It's never been that. It was all what can we do to make this community a better place to live. And so tonight, you're not honoring me, you're honoring all of the volunteerism, all of the civic groups and the churches, all of the different individuals, Dr. Allen, that have contributed for years and years. So many of those individuals are gone, they're not here today. And I can tell you now, they opened a lot of opportunities, Linda, for people all over this city, all over this county, all over this region. I know there are a lot of mayors in this room tonight. There are a lot of city council members here, a lot of county council members, school board members, a lot of doctors and lawyers, a lot of moms and dads, a lot of grandmamas and granddads. And I'm here to tell you tonight that I'd like to let's give really those who have just given and given for so long in this community, let's give them the round of applause they deserve. I would like to say this. Floyd, thank you for Santee Electric Co-op. Thank you very much for all of your years of service, but thank you for allowing us, every time there's an event, it has helped recruit jobs for this area. It's helped with educational. Dr. Barnes is here tonight. It has helped with many of educational opportunities. It has helped with the hospital and many other areas. And we deeply appreciate that, and we please let your board know that. Billy Jenkinson, always a patriot, always an individual that wants to promote all of the Historical Society, all those groups. When there was no money in the checkbook, always kept the faith. And I can tell you that's the tribute of the city and the county that we live in, Mayor from Johnsonville. To this young lady who helped with the leaders, and Leslie Spivey was involved, and they reached the young people and said, let's make a difference. These are the future leaders, not us. Our days come to a close. And so now let's take and cultivate and let's instill what this country's about and what this state's about and what volunteerism is. And we thank you very much. I appreciate the tennis shoes. I don't know if they'll fit. But thank you very much to you. And now I want to say that Majority Leader, Minority Leader John Land, it's good to see Marie here tonight. Where's Marie? Hold your hand a little higher. Let's give her a round of applause, please. Marie Land. But this man, John Land, and the pro tem of the Senate, Hugh Loveman, who is Majority Leader as well in the South Carolina Senate, who is Chairman of Senate Finance. See, they're not telling you the whole story. But those are the two men that adopted Ken Kennedy and myself for years and years. And they're the ones we would go and talk to over and over again about opportunities right here in our region of South Carolina. I tell you, I'll never forget it. An alcohol and drug abuse center we needed, and y'all helped us get that money. And we can go on, but the monies that you sent, it was your personal contribution of effort that helped change the quality of life for the citizens, not just in this community, but all over the state. And that's something to be proud of. And that is something that I ask you to stand right now, and let's give these two men a round of applause, please. I mean, I can start rattling off now. 120 million for Highway 52 and $1,281,000 for the airport and Stanley 3.4 million for the health department. He goes on and on. But it was hard to put it together, but it's hard to tell all 46 counties yes when some folks will not be able to receive an opportunity. And sister, to you and all of the sisters, what fine godly examples that you are and you have been reaching out to help those that simply have nothing. And I can tell you what, you have a sincere way of motivating other groups to help all over the community, all over this region of the whole state. But that national award you received just only a couple of years ago, a year and a half, well deserved. Senator Land, Senator Leatherman, they got the national award. And I'm telling you, we love these sisters and we love pastors, all of the churches right here in our community, because they have set the tone for a lot of us who came through Sunday school and through church and understood the value of putting the Lord first and understanding you walk with the Lord each and every day. And there's no question that you will succeed, but you will succeed in the Lord's time and the Lord's will. I want to say this. Pam, I tried to talk about you on the floor of the Senate. I couldn't do it. 26 years ago, came up there and we were sworn in, and Brother Stuckey, she came the other few weeks ago and walked in, and for the second time in 26 years. How about that, Ken? And she was right there, and my family was there, Lisa and her husband Mark, and certainly Maggie and her husband David. And Johnny, Jenny could not be here. Walter, you and Melissa and Ted and Hilton and Mary Beth and Tommy, who is here. Family is more important. It is an earthly importance that we should always cherish. Friends, Miss Hagler, Louis Hagler, Lamar Johnson, Tommy Johnson, I can start calling the names that are gone. I can tell you right now that family and friends are to be cherished, and I can tell you now that tonight, two ladies I want to stand up in this room. I want Marie Waller. Where's Marie? I want Marie and I want Darlene Chandler to stand up. Just a moment. Don't clap. Just stand up. Now I want you both to note, I'm not being buried tonight. Billy Horton, that's not what they're doing tonight. But let me tell you this, Swints. These two ladies, they took the thousands and thousands of phone calls. They knew what to do as far as helping citizens all over. And I can tell you that whether it be in Kingstree, Darlene, or whether it be in Columbia, Marie, I will tell you now that these two ladies worked triple time to help to change the quality of life right here in this area. And I'd like to publicly ask you, let's give them a round of applause. Keep in mind, and I should have stopped, but keep in mind, Willie, 21% unemployment 26 years ago. I pulled out some of those old papers and I was looking at them. Henry Poston, I'm telling you, we've come a long way. All the industries, all the businesses in this room, and just to look at that unemployment number, Governor, to see it was 6.9% only a couple of weeks ago, and now it's around 7.2. It's because of the hard work of local citizens that help shape a community, that make the difference. And it is about Abby, my little granddaughter. And it is about Henry. Melissa, step up and show him Henry. My little grandboy. And I got another grandchild up in Columbia. His name's John Yancey McGill, and they could not be here, but we're just so proud. But Lisa, she's expecting a little girl. How about it, Lisa? Isn't that a good thing? And I know they didn't want me to say that, but Tom, you have to say those things, but let me tell you this. Back in the early 90s, I wanted to run for lieutenant governor. Could not do it. The system was too clogged, too many people wanting to run. It just was not the time, and the Lord didn't lead me or give me any encouragement because it just simply wasn't the right time. And so when this thing came up on the floor of the Senate, I'll never forget it the other day, I said, why not? We've been in the Senate 26 years, served some 10 years in municipal government, Jimmy Kirby and others, Billy and others we served with in city government. But why not? It was an opportunity that I felt the Lord opened that door, Dave. Strong on faith. And the Lord said, why not? And He made me feel, why not? So we did it. But what we said we would do, if we did it, that we would work harder than at any time we've been in public service. And we said the first thing we're going to do, we're going to go across this state. And we're going into every county. And so in about 3.5 weeks, we went in 46 counties. And we spoke anywhere from 1, 2, 3 centers across this state to find out what was the true testament about that aging program. 173 centers, Dawn Smith, 173 centers all over this state. A lot of the centers had 40, 50, 60 people. The biggest center was down in Mount Pleasant, had 2,700 members. Went to one in Lexington County, and they had 700 members. But I realized something quickly. These folks were no different than any of us across this state. I learned very quickly they had Bible study and they had prayer. No different than Williamsburg or any county across this state. But I can tell you this, Lester Bradham, there are a lot of poor people in this state. You don't know it till you go out and see it. We've got it here in our county, and I knew it was in Williamsburg County. But there are a lot of people across the state that, especially seniors, a lady, her husband may be gone, and she may not have but $300 or $400 a month to live on. I don't know how they're doing it. I don't know how they're doing it, but I can tell you this much, Miss Grace, that what will happen, we gonna come with a testament back to the General Assembly. You're gonna see something you've never seen before. And maybe it's been there and none of us have ever documented it, but it's gonna be documented. And the Senate and the House are gonna be offered 5 or 6 potential opportunities to help seniors across this state. And one of the first things we did is we shared a little testament. I'm gonna stop, but I wanna say this. Vicki, the testament went over in this little small town governor called Greeleyville. And I went over there and I was trying to figure out, this elderly man came across the street and the man's name was Toby. Some people may remember him. And the man walked up to me and he said, how are you today? Welcome to our community. And he said, I'd like to have a quarter. I said, fine. Reached in my pocket. I don't know why he didn't ask for $1, but gave him the quarter. And I can tell you this, that he said, have a good day. And he walked off. And he went across the street and talked to somebody else, and I saw him reach down in their pocket and they pulled out, not a bill, but it was a piece of change. And so this testament I carried across this state because it meant what the character of a man is, what the character of a lady is, and the character of a community. And so he was about 75, 78, I guess, at the time, and Walter Yaw would have known his age. He was like the ambassador of Greeleyville. And one of the times he came up, I always wondered what he used the money for, and Mayor from down in Stuckey had a little chewing tobacco coming out of the corner of his mouth. And I said, well, maybe he's buying tobacco with that money. I didn't know. So what he did, he kept visiting. He taught the ladies to get that piece of change. And when he was in his early 80s a few years ago, he died. And I said, I want to go to that man's service. I want to hear what this man was about, what this community is about, what is really this state is about. I said, he won't have 15 people at that service, Tammy. I pulled up to the church, and the church was full of cars. I took and pulled up, trying to find a space out on the highway on the street. Both sides of the street, Beth, were full of cars. So I walked up, and having been in the Senate, they let me in to go into the church and sat me down near the front. And I said, think about that. Now I can hear what this pastor's going to say about this man whose body was sitting there and who had already left this earth. He said, every Sunday we wake up in this church, we start with an invocation. He said, every Sunday we have a reading from the Old Testament and reading from the New Testament. And he said, every Sunday we would have a spiritual we would sing. And he said, I'm going to tell you that once the song was sung, two men would come down the aisle and they would get these collection plates and they'd go out and collect an offering. And they would bring that offering back and they would put it at the altar. How about that? They'd go back to sit down. And when they sat down, this old man, every Sunday, would walk down that aisle and he had 2 paper cups in his hands. And those cups were full of quarters. That's the character that we don't understand. We don't realize how great this state is, how great of an opportunity life is. You don't waste these moments. You just don't do it. And I'm telling you here tonight, to see all of the faces in this room, friends and family, and I view that every stop you make, wherever you go, is a reunion. John Martin is a reunion. And I can tell you this tonight is nothing but a big reunion. And I thank you very much for you giving me this moment to say thank you for the blessings that you have been for this community and the blessings that you'll give for many years to come. God bless you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Lieutenant Governor. At this time, I'd like to ask Mr. Stanley Paisley, our County Supervisor, to come forward for a presentation.
I too would like to say good evening to everyone. And certainly everything that's been said is certainly deserving and fitting. And isn't it typical of our Lieutenant Governor, and even in his remarks, he's always put everyone ahead of himself. He's the most gracious statesman that I've known, and certainly one that is deserving of all of the accolades and the words of fact that have been presented tonight. You know, I think sometimes the senator, lieutenant governor, maybe have missed his calling. I think he might have should have been a banker because there's never been a time when whomever has approached him that he didn't have a positive outlook on what most folk would think would be a dim or a bleak situation, particularly when it came down to identifying resources. And I felt, and I know that it would be remiss if we, and certainly I would certainly commend the hometown chamber and all of the partners and all of the folks who made this evening possible, because Senator, it's not a funeral, but certainly you deserve your flowers while you can smell them. And we appreciate the fact that you have that opportunity tonight. At this time, I would like for all of my colleagues on council, if y'all would join me or just stand where you are, whatever suits you all, if you would stand, and all of the county officials, all of the elected and appointed officials that associated with the county. I've known the senator far beyond my service as county supervisor. And as he alluded, we worked very closely when I was working with DHEC. And we put together about 10 different funding sources in order to fund the construction of the new health department. And so there's just story after story after story that we all can point to our experiences. But the one thing, and he touched on it, that I can always remember about the senator, and I always will remember about the lieutenant governor, is love and compassion. Love and compassion. And collaboration, and how important teamwork is. So it is certainly an honor and a privilege for me to be able to present this resolution to you on behalf of Williamsburg County Council, Williamsburg County government, and all of the citizens of Williamsburg County. The resolution reads, State of South Carolina, County of Williamsburg. Whereas we assemble today to acknowledge and focus on the accomplishments of one who has strived and reached another milestone. And whereas we wish to congratulate an individual of such abilities and talents who exhibits willingness and determination to succeed. And whereas as a resident of Williamsburg County, individuals such as yourself continue to prove that with success comes someone who is dedicated to growth and development, someone who is ambitious, and someone whose efforts as our senator were tireless. Whereas we are forever grateful for the caring and committed services you provide to improve the lives of fellow citizens of Williamsburg County and surrounding areas. Now, therefore, be it resolved that on this 14th day of August, 2014, that as supervisor of Williamsburg County and on behalf of members of County Council, do by, under the seal of Williamsburg County government, agree and desire that the achievements of the Honorable John Yancey McGill, one of our most beloved residents of Williamsburg County, be noted as worthy of this honor and respect. And it is so resolved. Senator?
Is there a check that goes with that?
Reverend Franklin Fulmore has given me the honor of presenting this plaque in appreciation of Lieutenant Governor John Yancey McGill for your many years of dedication and commitment to the citizens of Williamsburg County and South Carolina. We thank you. We thank you for your outstanding support to the AME churches in South Carolina. From the AME churches, the Right Reverend Richard Franklin Norris, presiding bishop, and Reverend Dr. Alan W. Parrott, presiding elder, Kingstree District, August 14, 2014. At this time, the Williamsburg Hometown Chamber would like to honor our Lieutenant Governor with a very special token of our appreciation for your devotion and your service. I'd like to ask Dent Adams and Ricky Burroughs to please come forward. We hoped that this gift will bring you fond remembrances of this evening and that you will remember our gratitude when you see this gift at your home. Crafted in Williamsburg County, this original artwork depicts some of the most gorgeous wildlife that we have here in our beautiful county. Please come forward. We give you our best wishes. And this is a custom piece for Gates that was made for the Lieutenant Governor here in Williamsburg County. We hope that he will enjoy those. Please welcome Dr. David Ruth, minister of Williamsburg Presbyterian Church, who will deliver our closing comments and prayer.
There is a difference between an occupation and a vocation. An occupation is something you certainly get paid for, but normally you go to work in the morning, you work all day, you come home at night, and that's your occupation. Sometimes you'll even change occupations solely to make more money. That's an occupation. A vocation, has been said, is when some of the world's greatest needs meet somebody else's greatest talents. Greatest needs meet greatest talents. That has happened with John Yancey McGill. His great talents of being a humanitarian, of caring for others, of setting such a fine example. Those great talents that he's had have met the needs of many people. I can say that as a pastor, as a friend, someone who observes him, as a constituent, and as an admirer. A vocation that he has lived, and he has lived well. Y'all probably do not know this, but some people are not very high on politicians these days. You know what I want to say is, come to District 32. Come to King Street, South Carolina, and I'll show you a politician of integrity, who serves with energy and intelligence and imagination and love, who puts others first, does what's best for his constituents, as they've said, best for the state of South Carolina. Again, I'm an observer, a friend, and a constituent. I'm not Yancey's pastor. We do not let many Baptists in Presbyterian churches. But I know he has his priorities in order. He lives them. He takes time to be still and to know God. I see his car there in the Baptist church, since we don't let in many Baptists. He loves the Lord as God with all his heart and his soul and his mind, and his neighbors as himself. He's lived out his marriage vows, for rich or for poor, for better or worse, in joy and in sorrow, in sickness and in health, as long as you both shall live. He has been a good father and father-in-law and grandfather, knowing to raise up a child in the ways of the Lord, and they shall not depart from it. He has lived a life of to love justice, to love kindness, and to walk humbly with God. He has lived a life that the psalmist prays for us. To live and dwell in unity. And that's what he stood for. To try to help all of us live and dwell in unity. We're not at a funeral, I agree. But I can still say it. Well done, good and faithful servant. Well done. And now if you come up for a blessing, please. And Governor, if you will join me, and Pam, if you will join me as well, as I bless our friend, our former senator, Lieutenant Governor. Would you please stand as well? And now may the Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face to shine upon you, John Yancey McGill. The Lord lift up the light of his countenance upon you and give you peace this day and always. Amen. And all of you go in peace to love and serve the Lord. Amen.
Thank you. Thank you very much. This is the governor. This is Governor Haley. That's the governor, baby.